All right, it's time for your next habit, which is eat to satisfy. This habit focuses more on how much you eat as opposed to what you eat. Now, both of those things are important. What you eat and how much you eat are important parts of the weight loss equation. It basically boils down to eating the right foods and the right amounts for you and your goals, which in this case is weight loss. Now, eating to satisfied is subjective, but it's about focusing your attention inward on your body cues, your signals of hunger and fullness, and allowing those signals to guide your decisions on when and how much you eat. Eat to satisfied means remembering to pause during your meals to tune into your hunger signals and let that guide your decision on whether to eat more or to eat less. Now, being satisfied is the moment when you've eaten just enough food to fulfill your needs and wants for food, but not going past that point. Because in this moment, eating past that point won't make you feel better, and in most cases, it'll likely make you feel worse. The other thing is this moment of satisfaction could be brief and fleeting, and it is for most people. So it's easy to miss. So it's important that we constantly check in with our body and make sure that we aren't going past the point of satisfaction. Now, because it's subjective, I'll give you a couple examples here of what can help you figure out what eat to satisfied is for you. So practice eating to satisfied could feel like the middle ground between being hungry and full. It could be leaving space before you finish a meal rather than eating according to how much food is on your plate. It could be eating by how much you feel you need rather than how much other people around you are eating. And on a rough scale rating of fullness, we are looking for between 50 to 80% full rather than 100% full. Now, the exact number isn't important. It's just about reaching that subjective measure of eating to satisfy. So we're no longer hungry, but we're not eating so much that we're reaching that 100% full mark. Now, it's easier to imagine what 50% is. So most people like to start with that. They just fill their plate with about 50% of what they would normally eat. They eat that and then just see how they feel. If they're a little hungry after eating that meal, then they'll add a little bit more as necessary, and they just keep checking in. Am I still hungry? And they'll add a little bit more. And then other people like to work backwards. Maybe they make a typical plate with just a little bit less food on it. And then if they ended up being too full, they'll take a little bit off and so forth. So you just do what you feel would work well for you. Now, I've made a couple of handouts here that will help you practice this habit. And the first one here is actually called the Hunger Game. So this is a little worksheet that will help you track your signals of hunger and fullness. And this kind of tells you, how you should feel timeline and, some things that you can look at to help you stay aware of your physical hunger cues. And it shows you how to use the worksheet. But this number here is rating your hunger, not your fullness, like I just talked about earlier. And the idea here is that we want to let ourselves get a little bit hungry before we eat. And we want to get to about a 7 or 8 before we eat. And then we want to finish when we feel like we're around a 2 or 3. So around a 2 or 3 is our 80% full mark, if you want to look at it like that. So that's a neat little worksheet that you can print out and use called the Hunger Game, which I like a lot. And then the other one here is just a summary of the stuff we talked about in this video. Okay, but there's also some questions here that are beneficial that you can ask yourself to help bring more awareness to your body cues. Okay, the first one here is how much will I enjoy rather than how much can I have? The next one you can ask yourself is, will eating more or less make me feel better? And the last one you can ask yourself is, what choice do I need to make to feel my best for the next few hours? Okay, and then the habit versions here for the good one is eat to satisfied at 1 meal, For the better version, eat to satisfied at 2 meals. And for the best version, eat to satisfied at 3 or more meals. And then just as a reminder for the daily check-in, a 1 is basically telling me that you need additional support and that you want my help. So I'm off task, but I need additional support. And number 2 is I'm off task, but you know what you need to do to get back on track. All right, and then 3 is practicing the good version, 4 is practicing the better version, and 5 is practicing the best version.